What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pinpointe Unfiltered. I'm Rachel.
And it is I, the realtor of realtors, your boy Josh. How's everybody doing today, Rach? How's it going? How's it swinging?
Chilling. I'm here with Ollie. He's walking around in the background over there.
Pinpoint's
And
mascot?
yeah, playing with his toys and stuff. So sorry guys if it gets distracting, but hey, puppy life.
Puppy love, puppy light.
Um,
So what are we tackling today? What's on the docket?
so it's been a week since the Fair Act has come into effect. So we're going to talk about that, about, what was said before the Fair Act went into effect and what has actually occurred in this first week. Um, and I'd like to say just right off the bat that, we just got the data from the month of May. It came out last week, I think, right after the Fair Act came into effect, and the median rent in Manhattan across all apartment sizes went up to 4571. In April, it was 4500, and April was the second record that we hit in the year. May is now the third record, the third in a row. So rents have been going up and hitting record highs even before the Fair Act went into effect.
Yes.
So that's crazy. Wall Street Journal reported, I think, the day after or later in the day of June 11th, what I'm going to call Fair Act Day. So the Journal reported that overnight, over 1,000 listings disappeared from StreetEasy.
Easily.
Right? And that the average rent increase overnight, again, from the 10th to the 11th, was about $500, about $495. So take that and add it on to 4571, right? So now when we get into mid,
what is it?
$5,000 for the median rent in Manhattan. Okay. So let's assume today's June 19th. So I'm going to say a month from now when we get June's data, right? Because it usually comes out like 2 weeks into the following month where you get the entire data for the previous month. I'm going to assume that it's going to be the median rent for Manhattan is going to be around $5,000, which is insane. It's already insane at 4571.
Because that means if you need to qualify for that apartment, you need $200,000.
Stop it, for real? Yeah.
So all right. Yes, paying a broker fee is expensive. Yes, living in New York is expensive. But now, if we've gotten to the numbers that 200,000, I'm not the research person. That's you. But from my social experiment of life, the amount of people that are actually making 200,000 that are looking for apartments is not that high. In New York, maybe. I come across a lot of people and through all different walks and backgrounds. I want to say the average salary right now that I come across without going into the numbers, I would probably be around 150 to 125 to 150.
I was thinking about 120.
I was thinking saying 125 to 150. That's about the average, right? Okay, at 125, 150, you are at a little bit above $3,500. You qualify for an apartment, about 35 to 4,000, ish.
So you have to be uptown or out in the boroughs if you want a 1-bedroom.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous that a person has to make $200,000 now to live in the city.
To get the median rent.
That's not even fancy
obviously
life.
There's above and below, but that's just, come on. That's
but then
ridiculous.
When you go below, it becomes very difficult. And now with the Fair Act, it's going to be even harder, as we're seeing, because there's going to be even less listings that people have visibility to. I'm not going to say access, but it's visibility.
But let's explain that, right? Because I've seen online that people, and I'm just gonna call them renters, New Yorkers, whoever's out on the internet and paying attention to this law. Um, I've even I think I've even commented say on somebody's like post basically saying like brokers are raising prices, that's illegal. Brokers aren't raising prices. We're not the ones that are raising prices. We can't. We are not the ones that are in charge of the inventory. They're not our properties. We don't own them. We can't dictate the price. The landlords dictate the price. So now that landlords are being forced to hire brokers, um, and to pay them, what are they doing, Josh? Are they saying, okay, you can raise the price? Or are they saying, okay, now this is the new price?
They're saying, hold on 1 second, don't go by the last update we sent you. We are changing numbers on all the inventory, and we'll let you know exactly how much these apartments are going to cost. Everyone, like, I don't want to say everyone because that's absolute, but a lot that I hear from, renters, New Yorkers, people, it's like we're the bad guys. The broker's the bad guys. The broker's the person. Oh, you just open a door. Oh, like, you're the ones that are bringing up these prices. Like, no, we have no, like Rachel just said, I wish everyone could get a $1,500 apartment. You know why? Because I would crank out deals left and right. 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. I would be rich by now. But unfortunately, that is not the case anymore.
Hasn't
Unfortunately, I
been in
didn't
a
I
long
didn't
time.
I didn't make it the case. I'm just living in it.
No, you know who made it this way?
Corporations.
No,
No,
government.
well,
Because they refuse to allow developers to build more. We have had a housing crisis for, I don't know, decades.
well, that goes into the fact that the cost of, labor is high.
Hmm.
Uh,
Taxes.
Taxes are extremely high.
Government puts certain requirements into how you build, what you build, when you build it, if you
Yep.
can.
Look at all the rent stabilized apartments that have been uh
Warehoused.
warehoused. That's
Yeah, and
because
guess
there
how
are
many
no
more are
deals
gonna be
for these
warehoused?
landlords.
How many more are gonna be rent stabilized apartments are gonna be warehoused now because they can't bake the fee into the rent? Because if they're already at the top of their legal rent, what they're allowed to charge, they can't charge more. So guess what? Those aren't gonna be advertised. You're gonna have to hire a broker, and that's not our fault. That's the landlord is saying, "Hey, we're not advertising. We're not if these are available, but you have to get paid for it. We're not paying for it because we can't."
We literally dealt with this yesterday.
Mm,
A landlord that we usually get the exclusive rights to advertise their apartments. Hey, we got another apartment for you. So I'm super excited because I'm like, yes, this is exactly what we needed in this time. And then come to find out, the landlord's like, oh no, we're not paying the broker fee on this. You could just keep this as like a
pocket
pocket
listing.
listing. And that sounds great. Like, it's, thank you, I guess. But how are we going to get anyone for that apartment if we can't advertise it?
Yeah, it's a catch-22. And then like, so I don't like, what is that landlord even thinking? Like,
Landlord's
what do you
probably
think?
thinking, like you just said, it's a rent stabilized apartment. I
Mm,
cannot spend any more money on this than I've already spent. And they spend very little on it because they're not going to recoup their money back. Landlords are
right.
still running a business.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, it
still
costs money to maintain housing, right?
you
You
got to pay
have
for a
a
super, you got to pay
porter, a
for
super.
porters,
There's still like regular maintenance that has to be done, unless you just want them to set it and forget it and never touch it again.
which some do. And then those are the
Yeah,
ones that people
that are
complain about. Oh, you're a slumlord. You do this, you're that. Yes, there are some people that are greedy and do everything for a dollar just to make money. But then there are some that is like, I'm just doing this as a living, and I am put between a rock and a hard place. So yeah, this is just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like you said, right? It's a business, right? So what benefits a landlord for keeping their property in a state of disarray? Because doesn't that devalue it if they try to sell it or if they try to get a loan against it, right? Like it doesn't benefit a landlord to be a slumlord. Like, sure, there are definite slumlords, whether there was a law in place that changed how things work or not. There, there's terrible people everywhere, but they weren't the majority. And now I feel like they're being forced into this because they literally cannot afford to recoup any money. Not to make a profit even, just to cover expenses. I mean, not that I want to go down this rabbit hole, but just a quick tidbit. So the rent stabilized apartments, the price increases are dictated by the Rent Guidelines Board of New York, right? They meet every year, and they supposedly take data that says, okay, this is how much it costs to operate, and this is how much like the costs have increased to operate rent stabilized apartments. And then they take in like testimony from New Yorkers, renters, landlords, brokers. They like people come in and speak to them in different hearings, and they kind of get all this different context. And then they at the end of the day decide how much that increase is going to be. So 2 months ago, I think they came out and said, okay, we've established that it's an increase of over 8% to run and maintain rent stabilized apartments in 1 year. The prices have gone up 8%, not the
Wow.
rental prices, the price to operate those apartments, to
Wow.
maintain them. And then they come out and say, well, for a 1 year lease, we're going to do like a 3 or 4% increase. And on a 2 year lease, they'll do a 7% increase. And then, of course, which is already under the 8% increase, right? So, then people started, throwing their hands in the air and screaming and bitching, moaning that it's too high. So they've come back and reduced it even more. So I think a 2 year lease is around 6%. So again, these exact people are saying, hey, it now costs 8% more to operate rent stabilized apartments, but we're only going to allow landlords to increase rent 6% on a 2 year lease, not even a 1 year lease. That math doesn't even like,
The math ain't mathing, as the kids
yes.
say. Math ain't mathing. You,
So
a
again,
landlord
don't
could only
blame,
run like that for so long.
right. So don't blame brokers, don't blame landlords. We're all operating in within regulations that were given to us by the government that were voted on by New
The
Yorkers.
people,
Yeah. Um and so when a lot of people have been complaining online, that the prices are going up, rents are going up. Yes, because that includes the fee. And guess what? When you renew your lease, that fee is still there. And
so
that
how
renewal increase is going to be on top of that fee.
now my question to you, Rach, what do you think? Now, obviously this is not, people don't take this as concrete. We're just speculating here because no one knows what's going to happen, right? We don't know how this is going to play out so much. We're doing this in real time. How long before the people start really feeling that increase? Is it going to be year two? Is it going to be year three? How long before you think the people are going to be like, this is
Start
unsustainable,
complaining?
like
Oh,
complaining about this? Like,
they're already complaining. This morning, I saw from a news article that just in the first week of the Fair Act, nearly 300 complaints have been lodged against brokers or landlords since the Fair Act. Because, right, like with the Fair Act, um, people are being encouraged to snitch on brokers or landlords for violating the law.
it's not the New York that I know.
So in 1 week, okay, they've already gotten 300 complaints. And I'm assuming that a lot of them are going to be garbage because they don't really fully understand the law, right? They're just going off of what they've seen on TikTok or Instagram, and everything on TikTok and Instagram says broker fees are now illegal, right? Which we know is not the case. Broker fees are still legal if you hire the broker. So I think we don't have to wait that long for people to start complaining. People already are complaining. Um, and I think the first 6 months is really gonna show, like, people are like, "Oh, this is not what I thought it was," right? It now I don't qualify for an apartment anymore because it's too expensive. So it doesn't matter that we've reduced the upfront costs because I can't afford to rent anyway.
Or
Um,
people's expectations of how they need to live are going to have to
yeah,
diminish like a
but I th
lot.
but I think to answer your question, Josh, it's gonna be year 2.
Okay.
So if people sign a lease now, right? If you take into consideration the price increase, it'll be a wash the first year if they were to do a no fee, I mean a fee department, right? So because the fee's already baked into that first year. It's the second year where they're gonna hurt, where they're gonna feel it.
Yeah, that makes sense because you figure by your second year you could start saving up,
Yeah, but you can't because
but
now
now
you're
you
paying that
can't
fee again
because now
and
you're running the
paying
fee
the
back. Yeah.
extra, right? Because your rent is going up eight at most 8.5, 8.8% because now there's a law that says you can't raise rent regardless if it's rent stabilized or not higher than like whatever the again a number that people come up with. So right now I
So
think it's like 8.8. And but okay, so we just talked about 4571, right?
you
To
said the
5,000,
to
right?
5,000.
So 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 now it's going to be 5,000. What's 8% on top of that?
It's going to be probably around 400.
And what would have been, I don't know, here, let's get a calculator.
That's about maybe about $400 around there.
5,000 plus 8% is 400 on the money. So what would it have been 4571 plus 8%? Not even 5,000, 4936. Do you see how that you just lost money? You just lost a shit ton of money. So what? That's like $3,600 a year extra that you're paying.
A lot.
That 3,600 plus the fee that you've already paid. So 4,500 plus 3,600.
So now
That's
by
like seven
year,
and
so
change,
if the
7,000.
average New Yorker stays in an apartment about 3 years, you figure at 36, 36, 36 is 72, another 36.
Yeah, but remember
That's
it's
over 10,000.
exponential
Yeah, that's over ten
because
thousand
now
dollars
now
that
it's
you've paid
5,400.
extra.
You renew a third time, right? At 5,400, that's going to go up another 8%. 5,400 plus 8%. Now you're
Yeah,
58.
you know, it's going to make living in New York so much harder, so much quicker. Like it's just really vamping things up. Um Now, how does this affect, let's say, us? Pinpoint. How does it affect Pinpoint?
So
It's God.
that's a really good question. It does affect us in multiple ways. It could affect our livelihoods, right? Um, because we're not able to advertise apartments, right? That landlords aren't paying us for. So, like Josh, you were saying the example you had from yesterday, the landlord is like, "Hey, we have this. You can't advertise it because we're not paying you." Um, if we don't advertise apartments, it's hard for us to get renters, right?
Yeah, to get clients.
Right. So now we're limited to what we can advertise to get clients, and then we have to hope that they want to rent this one unit that they saw online that they reached out about. Because if not, the conversation has to change, right? Because what happened? What happened before, right?
So this is the funny thing, right? So people would complain how, oh, why do I pay a broker's fee when this person just opens the door and like stands in the corner and like doesn't help, right? And I understand that makes 100% sense. But the way we do business, the way I personally do business, it's, hey, I'm trying to work for you. So as I'm going to work for you, I'm going to give you many different options. I have done plenty of legwork prior to like us meeting that allows me to do my job, that I could actually help you. Yes, I'm going to get paid for helping you, but now it's not about, because now if you call about an ad that I put up, I can't go any past that, because if I give you videos, if I give you more options, that's me actually working for you, and I cannot give my services away for free. So what's going to happen is more and more people are just going to bounce around for the same, let's say, and this number is not the right number, just trying to keep it small, for the same 10 apartments. There's no way that you're going to get, if you have 100 people at one time looking for 10 apartments, yeah, like there's going to be 90 people that are going to be very, very disappointed.
Or homeless? Where are they going to go?
Like I said, the options are going to start becoming, oh, I wanted elevator laundry. I wanted washer and dryer in unit. I want a view. I want. And now it's going to become, well, I just need to live someplace. Let me live in this shitty apartment. And yes, everyone in New York has lived in a shitty apartment at one time or another, but it's kind of like the rite of passage. You make some money, you move up a little bit. You get a partner, maybe you split it with someone, and now you have a nicer apartment. Now it's just going to be, yeah, I didn't get lucky. I wasn't part of that 10%. So now I need to like live in this crappy studio that I'm paying way too much money for. And the only ones that are actually benefiting from this are going to be the big brokerages, because they have all the money and they have all the recognition and they have the names. So people, when they do hire them, they're just, all right, let me just go to them because I already know them. If Pinpointe, small brokerage boutique, one of the benefits of being a boutique company is that we can actually negotiate fees down. We can actually like, where the big boys have to charge you 10%. It's like, hey, I could do like 12. I could do like 10.
You mean 15%.
Oh, excuse me, 15%. Uh,
Where the big boys have to charge 15% and we can negotiate it down.
exactly. That helped us. Now we can't. Now, because we don't have the capital that the big boys have, landlords can't just give us, like, if a landlord right now told us, here's, take this whole building to advertise it. Yeah, we might not even be able to handle all that. But you know who can? The big boys. So then you're really trying to take the small company out of business at this point, because eventually it just gets too hard to keep the doors open, lights on, all that.
Yeah.
And the only ones that are going to continue to get rich are going to be the rich.
Yeah. I
And
rent
that
it.
is the principle of this Fair Act, where they're like, oh, we don't want the rich to continue to get rich. We need to like level this playing field out a bit. Yeah, for no one, because
Yeah. That's not.
you just gave them the alley oop.
Yeah. I read another article recently, I think it was today or yesterday, that said that the Fair Act is actually going to hurt small brokerages the most and um, brokerages that actually help with low rent apartments, which we do that too. So that this is definitely going to hurt us the most. But one of the things that like you were saying is that when people used to reach out to you, you would, find out exactly what they were looking for so you could make the most of their time, right? You're going to say, "Hey, I'm going to show you this one apartment. Let me know what you're looking for so that I can also show you some other apartments in the same, price range area whatever while we're out." Right? Now we're not going to be able to do that. Something that makes us as in Pinpointe, right? Is yes, we can negotiate the fee down to 12% or whatever it is. But we are also upfront and transparent with everyone on the internet as we're on the podcast, and in person, right? So one of the things that we're starting to change is now renters are going to have to sign documents before seeing apartments, which is retarded. But we need to protect ourselves and we need to protect the renter, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much disinformation out there that for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for you, Josh, but we've had conversations about this. Like, I would rather be upfront and transparent, even if it's going to cost me a deal, because I know down the line that person is going to talk to somebody else and be like, "Oh, I trust these people," right? Because they were upfront with me. So one of the things that we're starting to do is if a renter reaches out to see an apartment that we've advertised, we have a form now that says like, "Hey, you reached out about this specific address. This specific address does not have a fee to you because the landlord is paying our fee. However, if you want to see anything else that we might have or that might fit your needs, you will have to sign a different agreement, which
Now,
basically says that you're hiring us."
I
But
come
again,
from
this protects the renter just as much as it protects us because we're
so
saying, "Hey, we can't turn around and say, "Oh, we don't have it advertised anymore. Somebody else has it advertised, but you came to us. So, now we could charge you a fee." We're saying that that's never going to happen, right? We're trying to protect the renters just as much as we're trying to protect us.
now I come from I've been doing real estate a long time, 10 plus years at this point. The old way, like before Street Easy, like this is what I call before Street Easy way, right? The old way was clients would come into the office, they would sign a registration card, and in that registration card, it would kind of specify like, hey, it had verbiage. It was like, look, this is a brokerage, we can't charge a fee. This is the minimal fee, blah, 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 blah. There was pushback then when people wanted to sign that. It's it was difficult, but we're at the office, so then we could like talk about it and explain to the people why this is what it was. Internet really like started booming when it came to real estate. Like Street Easy became a thing. More and more people wanted to just meet at said apartment instead of coming into the office because everyone feels like, you know what, they can't waste their time. And I don't understand that phrase, waste my time, when how is it a waste of time to sit with a professional and really go over the process of what
Because what do you
you
know? All you do is open doors.
yeah. Anyway, so then we start doing these street meets, which is more common now, where it's like you just meet someone like in front of the building or, whatever, on a corner, whatever, coffee shop. Um, but then you still like, bosses still wanted that paper signed because we have to protect ourselves. There were so many instances that I would go to an apartment, go to a showing, get there, and the person's like, okay, I'm like, here's the paperwork you have to sign before we can enter this building, before I can show you this apartment. And people will fight me, not physically fight me, but like argue with me about this because they didn't want to sign any paperwork that locked them into anything. And I understand that. Um, but then that's a waste of my time.
Because then if they don't sign it, you didn't show it, right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
do you take a chance because you want to make a deal? Because remember,
But then there's no guarantee that you're going to get paid.
I'm commission based. So it's like, hey, I need a deal. Rent has to get paid soon.
Talk
What
about
do you
wasting time. They say that you're wasting their time when they're wasting yours.
pretty much? So now, fast forward, we're coming back. Like we have to come back to that because now, like of what's happening with the Fair Act, and I said that was one of the first things I said when we had to start thinking about this paperwork stuff. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen because you know what? People don't change so much. The internet changes, the way we move around is a little differently, but the instinctive nature of a person when they see contracts is to say, wait, I need more time, or you know what, screw this, I'll go to someone else. And unless the brokerage or the advertisement of that apartment is an actual exclusive of one brokerage and not just that the landlord is paying any broker, it's going to be so difficult because you could go to Joe Blow and get the same apartment for the same price. Who's going to benefit from that? Joe Blow, who has a ton of money, like I'm not going to mention any other brokerages' names on my podcast, but you know them very well, people. They're the ones that are going to make the most. The landlords and those brokerages, not us, not the people that are actually boots on the ground trying to actually help.
Renters. Yeah. I'm trying to help renters. So a lot of a lot of what I've seen online in the past week is that people are saying like, "Oh, um, now I have to, if I want to see other apartments, I have to sign an agreement that's a bait and switch. That's illegal. It's not illegal. It's we are not forcing you to pay us, right? Because the idea of the forced fee is illegal now, right? We're telling you that we're not allowed to
The
advertise
idea,
those.
hold on one second. The idea of the force fee is illegal, but because of this act,
It is a forced fee.
everyone is going to be paying more money.
You're
Like,
right. They are forcing everybody to pay a fee in their rent year after
yes,
year after year.
there is no negotiation on that. There's no negotiation where you actually had a chance before to actually negotiate with someone and say, hey,
Mhm.
can we bring this down a little bit? Hey, no, like, no, now it's just this. It is what it is.
You know, so I'm gonna tangent for a second. Um, so the Fair Act is being sued by Rebney and some landlords and probably some brokers, right? And they lost pretty much everything except for uh complaint. And they're now appealing that decision. So I'm wondering if, because the litigation process takes a long time, right? If they filed suit in December and they only got an answer the day before the Fair Act, that's 6 months, right? So let's say we have another 6 months or more, because appeals could take longer, for there to be another hearing on this appeal. How much do you want to bet that in the next 6 to 12 months, there is so much backlash from New Yorkers and renters that the city is going to end up settling and saying, "Okay, we'll make some changes because we got it wrong." But we're not going to say that we got it wrong. We're just
Can't
going to say
you
that you
can't
like
admit that
forced
we're
us into it.
idiots.
hmm So whatever. I think that's a possibility. Um, but going back to what we were talking about, right? Like the force fee bait and switch. It's not. We're just telling you we're following the law, and we can't help you find an apartment that's not listed, right? And these apartments are not being listed because landlords refuse to pay the broker fee. And it is their right. They don't have to. If according to the law, they do not have to advertise their apartments. They just
I
have to pay a fee if they do advertise the apartments through a
I
broker.
would love to get numbers on how many vacancies, like if we knew all the vacancies, like if there was actual like data that had all the
The
vacancies,
available apartments, yeah.
available apartments, and then how many are actually how many of those units are being paid by the landlord to like whatever broker. I would love to present that to clients. It's like, listen,
I
you
don't
are
think you can get that true number because the only people that know are the
the
landlords,
land, and they're not gonna like
and
they're not gonna let that go, because
they're not telling
when
anybody
you
that
see
information.
that you only could select maybe 5% of total inventory, it's gonna blow people's minds. It's like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to, in the, especially like in the summertime where it's the busiest, how am I supposed to find an apartment? The other day, I told you, I was just recently banned off of Reddit, and I'm gonna use my platform.
Go for it.
Our company, we built this to try to help. Like, yes, we want to make money. Yes, like I'm a capitalist like anybody else, but like, listen, I'm a poor kid from Bushwick. Grew up in the projects. I know what it is to I know what it is to be looked at like, or not looked at, because no one cares. No one cares about your problems when you don't have any money. I get it. I completely get it. So you know what? When I come across people who are looking for my help, I actually try to help them. Actually, I'm like reading Reddit because you want to stay like in touch with what's people are thinking and what's going on. And someone came out, and it's just like I felt bad because they're like, "Oh my god, I'm looking for like a 3 bedroom apartment. I have to move in like a couple of weeks. This is terrible. I can't find anything. Blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Hey, I'm a broker. If you need some help, you could always reach out." They banned me for that comment. They banned me because I guess I'm soliciting business.
You're just trying to help.
Sorry.
Oh my god, whatever.
Sorry. I was actually going to go out of my way, look for an apartment for a person, see if I could actually get them qualified, and hopefully get them a home within the amount of time that they needed it, because they're having such problems finding it on their own. This is my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. But no, 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 no. Let's ban that guy. That voice cannot be heard.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like to bring it back to what we were talking about. The reason that we as Pinpoint are going to start having people sign these different forms is because we're that guy, right? We are that guy, the people that are trying to be upfront and honest with you, right? Um, so if you want to hire us to help you find an apartment, okay, that doesn't mean you send us listings on Street Easy and we open the door for you. That's not what we do. What we do is we understand exactly what you're looking for and we try to find those apartments. And oftentimes we go look at those apartments and take videos and pictures before we even tell you about it because we want to make sure that it is a good apartment,
And I don't
right?
waste your time.
Right.
I'll waste mine. So you
Right,
don't
because we're not
waste
getting paid for
yours.
that. We're not getting paid for the time that it takes us to research and search for an apartment. We don't get paid for the time that it takes us to go preview those units and take videos and stuff like that. We're commission based. We don't get paid for that. We're not paid by the hour or paid a salary. Okay. So the reason that we do that, right, is because landlords, again, they don't advertise their apartments. So when they tell us, hey, we have this apartment that's available, they don't have pictures, they don't have videos. Some of them do, but like those are like the giant corporations, right? We're talking about every other apartment in the city.
And
We
even
have
the
to
giant
go.
corporations, those pictures are not always valid. People
No,
talk
they're
about
just
bait
like
and
another,
switch.
yeah,
It's about to be bait and switch season. I'm going to be very honest with the people right now. If you thought before it was bait and switch, I'm guaranteeing that there are going to be a huge group of brokers that are going to give you the bait and switch now because they have no other choice. And that's
what do you mean by that?
terrible. What I mean by that is, hey, I have to advertise because you have to like try to get clients in. So maybe they advertise stuff that just got taken off the market. So when you call, oh, this one's not available. That stuff is going to happen so much more
Mm,
often,
whether it is or not.
whether it is or it's
They're
not.
just gonna say it's
And
not.
I'm
And
just
if
going
you
to
want me
be
to show you something else, you have to pay me.
boom.
That's so fucked up.
But it's going to be that is the ploy that every other broker is going to try to
But
use.
that's the thing is how do you know? Because sometimes we've talked about this on our podcast many times, especially in summertime, those apartments go very quick. So
Sure.
how can you tell as a renter or even as a broker if that's a legit bait and switch or it just happened to move fast?
And this is my point.
You're not.
There's
You're not gonna know.
there is no more transparency now
Hmm. This
because
this whole law in the name of transparency is the opposite.
yeah,
So okay, so let's talk about what else we do as Pinpoint when you hire us as your broker.
give you a little
We search for the apartments,
dance,
we
make a
do
little
previews,
love,
we do a little
get
dance,
down tonight,
we accept singles.
get down tonight. No,
We coordinate your showings, right? You say, "Hey, I'm available Monday and Tuesday from 6 to 8." And then we do all the work. We figure out what apartments are available, what can be shown, figure out the route to take you, and we do it. But now you get to do it on your own if you don't hire a broker. Now you get to figure out your own mess.
now you get to try to get in contact with listing
But what about a tenant? What
agents
about a tenant?
or a
What if it's
oh,
tenant
how about if
occupied?
it's tenant occupied? That's going to be. I just did this yesterday. I'm after this. I have a showing for a bunch of stuff that's tenant occupied. um I have to reach out to all these tenants. So go ahead, have fun reaching out to other people, and you'll see when they don't answer your text message fast enough. When they're like, "Well, you're available at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm not available till 5 after 5." Okay,
figure that out.
So yeah, what I would have done as like let's say in those situations, what Pinpoint does is like, oh well, you can only be there at 11. This person is gonna only be available at after 5. I will show up after 5 to make sure I at least get a video for you. We could do a FaceTime tour, and if it's something we absolutely need to see because you love it and it is a priority in your viewing, then we'll work from there and try to make a better connection with the tenant. Um, but let's not waste your time going out for something that you don't even know yet.
Hmm.
That's what I would have done. Now I I sit back and I'm like, okay, I guess we'll try for the next apartment and the next apartment and we'll let
Well, unless
someone
they hire you, right? If they hire
exactly.
you as their broker, and what that means, guys, at least for us, right? The agreement that uh we started using is you're not hiring us exclusively. You're just hiring us exclusively for what we show you, right? For the apartments that we take you to see. You
But I'm
can
gonna
still
be
use another
honest.
broker or on your own, and then
Once you have a showing with Josh, you're probably not gonna want to deal with anybody else. Just saying. Just saying. Like,
this is true.
yeah. Um, but I can't be everywhere for everyone at all times. And that's what I've come to realize. So there are going to be people who are very fortunate that are going to get good service when you can deal with like Pinpoint myself. And there's going to be a lot of other people that you're not going to be able to. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a hard trek to find apartments. And where I would advise people before, start looking. Let's say maybe a month out. You like because inventory is so low now and the competition is so high, you might have to start looking 2 months out and you might actually have to get an apartment and pay double for more than a month
Just so
to,
you can secure that
to
place.
secure your apartment, like the right apartment, which is,
That's
again, who's
ridiculous.
winning from that? The
The landlord.
landlords. Because now two
And
landlords are getting your money at the same
remember,
time.
guys, landlords didn't want this law.
Ah, it was the people.
The people. So okay, what else? So we find the apartments, we preview the apartments, take videos, send them to you before even showing them to you. We coordinate your showings. We help you with the application, right? I don't know why it's hard for renters to fill out an application, but every single one has so many questions. Like, "Oh, am I supposed to put my address?" Yes. Yes, it's basically a credit check application. So yes, you have to put your information, and it actually says like current address, previous address. Oh, but I
Usually.
don't have a previous address. So leave it blank. Now, who are you going to ask?
Womb.
The
That's my
landlord's agent, the listing
previous
agent, they're not going to
address.
help you.
The womb.
The womb. Yeah. So
I'm
we
gonna put
do
that.
work for you as a renter. We not not as a landlord for not for the landlord when you hire us, right? And we explain all of that in detail in the agreement. We also give people the New York State agency disclosure form, which basically tells you like what it means when you hire a tenant broker. We owe you our fiduciary duties. We have to be loyal to you. And um,
We are on your
that's
side.
actually better for renters because before there was no agreement with brokers and renters, right? So it was a free for all. Um, a renter could screw over a broker and a broker could screw over a renter, and there was no written document with signatures that said that they couldn't. But now, at least with Pinpointe, if you hire us and you sign this agreement and we find you an apartment or we don't, and you find that we have violated our fiduciary duty to you, you can file a complaint with the state.
Please don't.
I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying
Please
that
don't.
now you have rights.
Recourse. You have like yeah, you have a, a way of
It
clapping back, as to
these
say.
agreements that we are integrating into our services, these two agreements that we're integrating, they're not because we're trying to make money. We're trying to protect the relationship between the renter and the broker. So, but also in that agreement, it's going to state how much our fee is. And like Josh, you were saying, that fee is negotiable. Before we sign that agreement, have that. We're now going to have that discussion instead of waiting to the last minute and being like, "Oh, by the way, there's a fee and it's 15%." Now we're going to
Well,
say, "Hey, you want
we
to
never
hire us?"
did
I
that. That
know,
was
I
never
know,
our like
I
mode
know
of
we never did that.
operation.
But I'm saying like now, well, I know we never did it, but how many times has a renter come to you and been like, "Oh, you didn't tell me there was a fee." And you're like, "Yeah, I did. Scroll up in your text messages. It says it right there."
I say it for every first meeting.
Yes, I know, but like now that's not going to happen anymore if they sign this agreement because this conversation is going to happen before they sign. And we're going to say, "Hey, the typical fee is 15%, but it is negotiable at up to a point, right? It has to make sense for everybody involved." And then once that number is reached, we put that into the agreement, and that number stays that way. It does not change as long as you see apartments with us. The only time you won't pay a fee is if you end up renting that first apartment that you saw with us that you reached out, right?
Or if
That
another
you had
apartment, like
that we're
the
able to find you
landlord,
a no fee apartment. Sure.
sure. That's the, like, and the other thing is what, like, in terms of things that we do, we negotiate on your behalf. So, hey, I need, it's what are we in? We're June 19th, right? June 19th. Oh, I want an August 1 move. All right. Now, yeah, you could put that on your application. Now, the landlord could easily just say no, because we're not going to take August 1 and like shut the door and shut it down. But when you work with it, like we're the ones on the other end of like email chains and like calls with these landlords, like, hey, this is the tenant. Here's the story. Blah, 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 blah. Pleading, not pleading, because I don't want to say that, but we're presenting your case to a landlord for consideration. Where we're just if we were just gonna do, let's say, the owner, like if we're just working for the landlord, oh, we want this date, then that's it. Sorry, I'm not pleading your case. Next person. Next person. Those are the differences when working with, let's say, a good broker, bad broker. We're on your side and we're fighting for you to get the best deal possible. I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, yes, I could show you, yeah, I could show you more expensive apartments, which would make me more money, but I'm trying to get you the best deal possible. This is sometimes the best deal possible is something that is cheaper.
Yeah, but there are plenty of brokers that will take you to the most expensive thing and tell you that that's what it is because they're trying to make money. But we are not like that. We are trying to say, "Hey, we want to work with you again and again and again." So if we put you in the most expensive place that you're not going to be able to afford after a year, you're not going to call us next year when you need to move. But if we make sure that we are prioritizing you and your needs when you do decide to move again, we hope that you call us because we've proven that you can trust us.
Check our reviews, people.
Yes, we do have a 5-star review rating on Google,
Check our
which is
reviews.
awesome.
We're outside, like,
And if you're right, if you want to hire us, you can ask to speak to references. We can suggest clients to speak with you.
easily.
That's an easy thing. So let's start wrapping this up. What are some things that renters like? Let's summarize things that renters need to know.
Pinpointe is the best.
Pinpointe is the best.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Can I put that as a
Yeah.
slogan?
Well, I think Danny will fight you on that because that's her slogan. She loves that
I'm
slogan.
joking. Things that they need to
Um,
know.
this is the
Oh,
new normal. this
uh,
is this is what you should get used to.
yeah. These high rents, the low inventory, the competition. When you try calling or, inquiring on an ad, maybe not getting a response for a few days, maybe like, or a response at all. This is going to be the new normal. And if you're not willing, if you are so adamant about not paying a fee at all, you are limiting yourself to a lot now, even more listings than before.
You're limiting yourself to a lot less.
Less? Is that the proper way of saying
I
it? You
don't know.
sure?
No,
Don't
I don't know.
confuse me. Damn it. Now I'm going to be thinking about. All right. Anyway, before it was hard to get no fee apartments. Now it's going to be even harder. Now it's going to be even harder, even though
There.
everything that you see on the internet is no fee.
Yeah. But how much is not on the internet?
And that's my point.
So the whole Fair Act was supposed to make things fairer, but I feel like it's just making it more fucked up.
Yep. Um, I have a like rhetorical question, maybe something we should like could possibly think about. Um, with the fact that so many listings are not getting put up, that means those listings are it's gonna be harder for people to rent those. So they'll stay on like available longer. Do you think after landlords see, oh my God, I can't afford to keep these things off the internet. What do you think's gonna happen then? Are they gonna fold and just like start everything like just paying everything? Are they going to start like, hey, brokers, I need you?
I think
Just on the flip side of it, you know, the other court because we talked about how like how terrible it might be,
no. I think it's a great question. I think it's a
but
great
it might be
question.
okay.
And I think that's the intention of the law is to, okay, beat landlords into submission. But I think that completely underestimates the resolve of landlords. As we've seen,
We're gonna
they
fuck
would
around and find
rather
out.
lose money by not putting up rent stabilized apartments that they're losing money on, right? Like that backfired on the city. So I think this is going to backfire on them too. I don't think that landlords are going to be forced into advertising all their listings. I think there are some that are doing that, but in the conversations that I've had with landlords, um, they're not. They don't give a fuck. They're just saying we'll advertise a couple where it makes sense to advertise. So it's going to be by price and by location, right? So I think it'll be, hot popping neighborhoods like Williamsburg, Bushwick, maybe Ridgewood, um, Fidei, East Village, Chelsea, West Village. Those
Any
places are going to have plenty of no fee listings because they can pay for it. They
yeah,
can raise the rent.
I
They can
also
raise the
think
rent in those neighborhoods. Wait. They can raise the rent in those neighborhoods and they can say, okay, it makes sense to advertise no fee apartments here. But uptown, Astoria, like, I don't know, where it doesn't make sense. It's just like Harlem. No, I don't think you'll have a couple. You'll have like not a couple, but like a handful. Um,
I say
they're just not gonna they're
I
not gonna
say
advertise them.
anything that's a new development. All the new developments, that's easy. That's gonna be they're just gonna advertise no like all that stuff.
Yeah,
The
that will be advertised for
like
sure.
exactly those are gonna be advertised. It's the mom and pop. And when I say mom and pop, I mean a landlord that has 10 buildings, 15 maybe. Anything under 20 is like mom and pop.
No, I disagree. I don't think it's just mom and pops. I think it could be larger, mid-size to large landlords, but that they just have older inventory. At least with the conversations that I've been having, like it has to make financial sense for them because no matter what, I unless it's a rent stabilized unit, no matter what, for any free market unit,
They're
that rent is
hiking it
going
up.
up
Yeah, they're gonna
if
hike
they're
it
going
up.
to advertise them, right? But there are certain markets, certain neighborhoods, or certain apartment types that cannot sustain that higher price. You won't get it, so they won't advertise them.
It's gonna be a whirlwind, folks, and I'm here for this fucking ride. Like
Yeah. And this is only week one.
this is week one, and week one, I've been stressed out. Oh, guys. Safe
I've been
space now.
breaking
All
out.
right.
I've been breaking
Bring
out
it
in my
in, people.
face.
Bring it in. Safe space now. I've been
Mm.
stressed out my mind trying to figure out this fucking act and how we're gonna navigate it. But And
and how we're gonna survive.
I'm not just talking about like as a company. I'm talking about also I'm a New Yorker. I gotta rent as well. So wait a minute. When I go to fucking move the next time, my rent is gonna be more than 10% what I thought it should be.
No, actually, you have a leg up.
Well, I know I
You
don't.
have a leg up because you have access. You're a broker, so you have access to all of
Yeah,
the off-market listings.
for how long if we're not making any freaking money? The questions I ask
Well,
myself.
well. If Pinpoint goes out of business, you still have a license. You can go to another brokerage.
Yeah, but I'm not going to any of the big boys. Stop it. I can't.
No, Pinpoint's not the correct response.
I
And
can't. I can't.
Pinpoint's not going anywhere.
I can't do that. No, we're just pivoting. That's all we are. We're just pivoting. So you might not see me in the streets as much, but I'm still out
Yeah,
here. I'm still out here. And that being said,
yeah.
this has been a nice one. It's been, it's been an episode, I guess.
And it's been a whirlwind of a week.
Whirlwind of a week, yeah. And today's Juneteenth, so celebrate how you want to celebrate. I don't know how people celebrate this.
I don't either.
I'm gonna celebrate by trying to find an
Is there
apartment
a parade or something?
for another lady. But on a nice note, I am probably one of the luckiest persons, like guys out there, where I meet such lovely people in my life, which is why I feel an obligation to be as kind, as generous, as patient as I possibly can be. A nice, lovely, lovely client. I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to put them on blast like that. Baked me a cake for my birthday.
Shit, that's awesome.
Uh, and well, excuse me, it wasn't a cake. It was a pie. It was a pie. It's not a cake.
What kind of pie? I love
So it's
pie.
like a chocolate like mousse with like Oreo crumble crust. Make you
Okay,
want to
wait.
smack your mama. I think I
Wait a
got
minute.
diabetes after like the third bite,
Wait a
but
minute.
it was worth it.
Now you know I make pie, and I know how much you like my pie. And I mean the pies that I make, not anything sexual.
You freaking degenerates if you were thinking otherwise.
That's where I was going, and I was talking. Um, rank those pies. Is your client's pie better than mine? Because
Why you gotta do that for? Come on,
because I'm
we gotta talk about that off camera. We can't be doing that. I can't downplay this lovely pie, but your pies are, I mean, like, all right, folks. To the point, I was actually a little tight this past like Thanksgiving, and I understand. She got kids now. I'm not a top priority anymore. Taking care of good old Josh is not Rachel's priority anymore. That she has lovely, beautiful kids. Those kids are beautiful. I love them. I requested one of Rachel's like pies, and her exact words were, "Oh, I have to make some for the kids. I don't have enough time." I'm like, "What? I don't have enough time." So I'm not even gonna take that into consideration when I rate this like pie, even though I'm still a little sour. I'm trying to be fair, like the fair act. No, it's a little different.
well, they're two different pies. One's a
That's what I'm
chocolate
saying.
mousse pie. One's a mocha pecan pie.
It's a little different. I would say yours because the pecan, because that like texture, like that little bit of crunch, even though you have
Mm-hmm.
the Oreo, it's a different crunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this lady's pie,
Did you save me any so I could
I
I
still have.
could
I can't eat all that fucking pie by myself. I'm gonna die.
all right, so I gotta have some so I could figure out how to make it. And all at this note, Ollie is starting to cry, so I need to take him out.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on the flip side. You already know the deal. I'll see you in the streets because I'm outside.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions about anything that we've talked about or anything that you're coming across on Street Easy or talking to other brokers, and you're not sure if it's legit, we can answer questions for free, guys. There's no there's no obligation. If you have a question and you're not sure, ask us.
That's
Okay,
what we're here for.
that's what we're here for. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Rach, where can they find us?
Instagram at Pinpoint Group, LinkedIn Pinpoint Group, website pinpoint.nyc. Um, oh, we have a newsletter. If you're a renter or a first-time home buyer, you can sign up on our website. Um, and watch more episodes of our podcast.
Yeah.
and share it.
Send
Share,
suggestions.
subscribe, comment, send suggestions of what you want us to talk about.
Also doing a poll. Next episode, tank top, baby oil. Yes, no. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
All right. Peace, guys.